let's go. "27 people. Woo! Takes 21 and a half to get a quorum, so we can get everything accomplished tonight."
All in favor, say aye.
So,
New elections, go to the beach.
okay. Treasurer report. Gore sent me a quick report to read tonight. He is working with Haggerty to collect outstanding amounts from 2014 fall season. Thanks, Ryan.
Do you want me to give an update on that?
Give me an update on that.
Alright, so we have 27 outstanding invoices right now for about $28,000.
That's pretty good.
Rugby Colorado doesn't pay for theirs yet.
What?
Yeah,
Is that girls?
there's a new regime there, so they slow bang. I got an email today saying the check's in the mail, so
How much is that?
$5,500.
So it's Air Forces.
So, and then there's, I just pulled the report, two clubs that do Summer League in the mountains still haven't paid, Grand Junction and Glenwood, not surprised. And then Colorado Mesa Men's Club, they're about 344 days past due. So we were reaching out to them again this week and just saying, you're not gonna get any referees, so. Other than that, everything else is pretty much about where I expected to be. There's a lot of, I got a lot of correspondence that checks are in the mail and such, so. Any questions on collections?
So we'll be able to work closely with Stu and Ray to make sure that we determine who does and does not get referees.
Yep, I will. I was just talking to them about it, so.
Okay, other things. Go ahead.
What are the legal ramifications? I mean, it's not our business, but what are the legal ramifications?
They end up forfeiting the match.
They forfeit their match. Okay, it's both teams.
And then the team wins.
Both teams have.
He's supposed to pay me.
Both forfeit. Both forfeit.
Okay.
Other things, as always, filling out match reports is critical, including ARs and everything else for things like PRP and collegiate matches. He's working with Greg Wolf on getting this done. He's looking for a different bank with a direct deposit option for those who want direct deposit, not actually the check loan to them. He says stay tuned for that. And as discussed at the AGM, he's filing 1099s for anybody that makes over $600 this year, but this does not count if it's travel expense, so like mileage counts as match fees. Okay? Questions?
There's one question, him and I were working on getting a new like business started. Does he say anything there about that part?
We have,
We're gonna go.
yes. He's right now writing the articles of incorporation.
Okay.
And we're working with IRS as to when we should incorporate and begin our first year of collecting data so we know where we're going to stand.
Okay.
He's got it a lot more further than I understand it, so.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy thing to do the incorporation and do that. Okay?
Yeah.
Gilligan. Welcome, new camera operator, thank you very much. Yeah, he was here in the fitness test.
Greg Wolf.
Great Wolf's on the way. Wow, that's.
Secretary report.
Oh, shaky hand wolf, no way.
so,
I'm not giving up my hand for
Kind
that.
of what we said we wanted to do, we're trying to plan further ahead. So right now we're scheduled through March 8th. We're already planning the week after that. Our goal is to give you at least 2 weeks heads up. But I mean, if we keep this pace going, we've got more than that. The one thing is, if you don't respond to the invite that you'll get whenever you're appointed, we're assuming it's a yes. So please make sure you respond if it's a no. If you don't respond, it's a yes. It's not going to ding anything for us, but if you can't make it, make sure you let us know. If you do decline it and you don't hear back from us, it'd be great if you double check combined, 38% have coaches, and 31% of the games have a team of 3 so far. So we've got a lot of. In addition, we're trying to be really intentional and look at where people want to work towards in their own development. That's what Gil is looking over our shoulder to make sure is happening. So Stu's going to be talking later about a development plan and what you can do for that. So if you get those together and share them with Gil, he'll go to bat for you to make sure that whatever you get assigned to is actually consistent with your goals. So, thanks.
Thanks, Ray. Next on the agenda is the vote for approval, non-approval of our meeting procedures. These were discussed at the AGM in December. They were sent out last week. Just out of curiosity, who actually opened it to look? Oh, well, great.
The other question is who read?
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns, worries, issues before we put it to a vote?
Just very minor, but after the fact, perhaps a little bit of proofing before I.
You mean we had to
Yes.
spelling evaluation?
Crosses.
So we have some periods and commas and spellings and fixes?
I nominate that Juan go ahead and proofread, edit, and submissions to speak more for inclusion.
Second.
Okay. So, being that there's no further discussion, let's do a hand vote. All in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Those that didn't read.
By the way, we actually do have to record that.
So we have,
Stu,
I think we're now at 30. What?
27 to begin with.
Then we added 3 more. That's 30. So we have 26 and 4 abstentions.
26 in favor,
and you have to list the 4 abstentions.
County didn't
Ward
listen.
abstains.
Vote for yes?
Who are that? Who's abstaining? Luscombe?
Who's abstaining?
Oscar, Bloy, Chuck, and who else abstained? Eric?
Zach.
Zach? You abstained? I don't know what's going on, so yeah. So, Bloy, Loscom, Huff, Small Huff, and Eric Geiger.
So that's,
So how many?
That's
4.
that's 5.
That's 5.
The correct move. We still have.
We have 30. We have 30,
So
so.
25 and 5.
25 and 5. All right.
It's still
So that carries. Articles of incorporation. I'm assuming we have the same number of people that actually looked at this also? No?
Articles of incorporation.
Okay. Any questions, concerns, worries, issues with this, except for our punctuation? Okay. Let's have a show of hands for approval. Abstaining?
5, 6, 7, 8. All right, keep your hands up. Who abstained?
Okay, and who didn't vote at all?
Well, you didn't call it minutes.
Trick, Guy,
Oh, by the way,
So Trick, Geeb, Tim, hands up. Zap.
Sorry, is this for no vote?
This is abstaining.
Abstain.
Bobo,
John Kenny,
Tim, Roy, Zach,
7.
7.
Yeah, we're good. Trick and Guy.
Trick, yeah.
Code of conduct, who read that? Who's willing to sign it?
You're gonna be dancing every Sunday.
Don't get game to tell you to sign it. Sitting up here at the front table, we have a pile of them. Let's see if everybody will sign so we can do that. Being passed out, we have a... No. It's right here.
You did it. You did it. This is less.
Same thing.
Was that you refereeing the Outback game last weekend? I had some of your
That's right. That's
Okay, can we pass these to your right? So raise on the right side, so.
So they don't need to be bigger than that. Stack better if they're the same size.
using on my mobile
Outside's good if inside's good, makes a lot more sense. That's good.
Recruitment officer. So you want to talk about why we need some help?
It's hard.
Stand up.
You hope it's hard.
Whoa.
Hey now.
Did anyone not sign the code of conduct other than Brighton?
You bring that shirt already, Greg?
Did it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so. Well, you don't have mine. Well, we have all the receipts, so. All right, sorry. That works.
Kind of on our way to the next class, which is on the 22nd, is that right?
Yeah.
That's Sunday.
How How many do we have?
That'd be a question. Well, I know how many you're supposed to have. Getting them to actually sign up is a whole different thing, so
Okay.
I don't have access.
Hey, Mike? How many do you have signed up for the next class?
I didn't have,
Okay.
do you know?
I've got 4 that swear they've signed up. I've actually had gotten questions on how you sign up and all that, and walking through it. There's another 6 or 7 that swear they're gonna do it, and they're good, they're fit, young people. These are actual people that want to rep, not just,
Well, I need to talk to Kurt to find out what the charges are, because is it still up to 170?
no, and I've,
Kurt stood up, just now he's gonna
It's
answer.
just arrived, huh?
So, here's what we currently have. We have a situation to where we're stuck in sort of two worlds. We need a set of membership fees for us to be able to register as a USA Rugby member and pay our, I think it's $75 gets added on at the time of registration, so that you pay our dues to be a part of the society and everything else, and it's all done. The issue we have is that when a high school kid who wants to referee can't show up to the course until they register as a $45 adult referee, pay the $75 to us and the $50 for a course. So it ends up being $100 and lots of dollars to then sign up to just be a referee.
What about the background check? That was the big charge.
That's just part of your registration, that's not extra. So the challenge we have is that I think we as an organization need to go to USA Rugby and have a tier of membership just to get people trained, that they don't have to be part of us, and we have to work it out with the USA Rugby office to say you can be a high school kid registered as a high school kid and still attend the course. You can be a college kid registered as a college player and still attend the course. Now, to referee, we should have them get the background check, which is the $45, and that's where they have to then actually do that. But we as an organization probably need to go to the USA Rugby office to ask for some sort of different situation, because right now, for a new mom or dad who's never been involved in rugby to go out and pay almost $200 to take a level 1, that's pretty tough to swallow.
Particularly if they want to continue with it.
Yeah. So I think we should have a requirement where to get trained and to take the course is one set of requirements, and then to actually for us to assign you, that's when you have to be part of the society, pay the $45, background check, da-da-da. So I think we can treat those as 2 separate items.
So how do we work that with USA Rugby?
We, as an organization, go to USA Rugby and say, we need to change this. Part of the challenge is that the GU that we are in has added the fees to us, so we have to have their permission to take the fees off of the registration portion of it. So that would be,
Have you
We've
talked to Fez about that?
by our territory.
yeah, so we collectively, I mean, Tom, likely you or representative of us, talks to representative of the GU, and they just okay it to say we don't have to have that fee on there.
Okay, that talk has been had.
Okay.
So,
So then it's just Lucy at the membership office that just takes it off and says, you're good to go with courses.
so Cortez understands that. He did slap her hand a bit by saying that if we want to be called Rocky Mountain Rugby referees, we should have asked the GU if we could use their name before we did it.
I move we revert our name.
But, no,
Rich doesn't own the words Rocky Mountain.
No, but we do have Rocky Mountain Rugby
Love you, Rich.
Union registered with the state.
So can you just summarize what are the 2 levels of cost?
So one level would be, you must be registered with USA Rugby as some member. For an adult who's just a parent, they would register at the exec admin level of $30. That gets you the background check and allows you to attend the course. For someone who wants to then referee, you would then just pay the balance of the 15 to get up to the 45 to be a referee, pay our 75 or whatever else we're going to ask them to do. That's up to us to decide. But to take the course, if they're not a registered player, coach, or referee already, then they would just register at the exec admin level of $30, and we get them into the course to take it.
And then $30 there, and then the $50 for the course fee.
Correct.
So they got to shell out 80.
Correct. Unless we want to have no requirement to take the course of being a member of USA Rugby. That's up to us to decide, I
Don't they
believe.
reimburse the fee for the course though?
so I'll jump in now. Agree with everything you just said. Great moving forward. As of now, this class, we actually this hasn't come up as an issue. Everyone that had a problem with the cost, I've worked it out with them. That is definitely the way we should go though. I mean, because, when they get to the $170 part of the registration, I get an email. But we worked out, we do, as of now, as a society, I was told, and they all know that they get the 75 back, they get the 45 back, as soon as they ref like a game or AR or anything. So, and everybody, this time around, has been pretty cool with it. Last class, we definitely lost some people, because they were just like, can't do it, so. But yeah, that's definitely the way to go in the future.
But if somebody still doesn't know that they want a referee, it's still
Yeah, if they don't go through me, they don't know any of that, they're getting hit with 170 when they try to register for the class. If I don't know of them, then.
Steve, could you, I have it all, by the time the course comes around,
Might be a compliment.
I'm sorry, not Steve. By the time the course comes around, I'll have forgotten, Mike might have written down, can you give us something to that effect, so that we have a note card when we teach the course on the 22nd, in case there are walk-ins, in case there are people that have
Sure.
time for you,
Yeah,
so that we can get them sorted out.
and I'll do a normal pop-in too.
send me an email.
Yeah, so everyone that I know of is fully aware of our reimbursement policy. Speaking of which, not a lot of people added anything on the recruitment tab. Started out there.
It's everyone's job, guys, to recruit, so after your game, you have a captain who's gobby, or someone who talks to you about it, just talk to them about refereeing, and maybe there's a player that you know that doesn't play anymore, that has been injured or whatever, and say, hey, you should talk to one person about every game, pick out one guy, and say, hey, thought about it. Are you there standing and coaching someone, and someone, just pick someone out the sidelines. When I do a B-side game at high school, I nominate someone to referee the second side, and then I talk to them about it. But we should have, we have some good numbers, and it looks good coming into it, but it's everyone's job, and we're just putting it all on Rick. And Rick has told me many times that he's really great at retention, and that we do need retention too, but we need actually someone to pick up the ball and spearhead recruiting and actually getting boots on the ground.
Volunteer.
Boots on the ground and talking to guys and getting guys in there. Like someone who will come to Glendale during PRP things. Just Rick can be in charge of it all, or he can spearhead, or a team. We had a couple teams, I got you, we had a couple teams, like Dave Fellows wanted to do it, and we got hands up before. I think Chris volunteered one time. But we really need to get someone who can kind of be the recruitment guy, and Rick can be the retention guy. So, does anyone want to spearhead this up? Any Jim?
Kurt,
I'll help.
what do you say?
I would like to help.
Okay.
I'm in.
Eric?
My thought was to put together collectively, or via ad hoc committee, whatever, an actual program, how we're going to do it. That way it's not like you're the recruiting person,
Nice.
good luck with your strategy. Like if we decided as a society, every single one of us is gonna go to every team in the area, at least one of their practices, and go over game management guidelines and then give a recruiting pitch, that would probably yield a lot.
Okay.
Just putting that out there.
Nice.
And then we have like a little spreadsheet, like, Coburn went to, the Fort Collins practice or whatever.
Are there any volunteers for the committee? I know I would be happy
I'll
to.
help out.
So Bramley, Mark Huff, Brian Zapp, and Rick, and Weaver.
Yeah, that's two.
Along the same lines, the EC talked last week about the concept of a welcoming committee. Very often, we don't have the coaches or anybody to immediately go out with referees on their first day. It's one of the biggest problems we got with getting new people out, is that we don't have somebody go out and hold their hand. So we talked about at the meeting was putting together a committee, and I think this can fit in with what we're doing right now. A few people, experienced referees, you've done it before. You don't necessarily need to be a coach, but we certainly would prefer you to take the CMO, which Gilligan's going to get to go out with the referee first few times, help them get through the pre-match, watch them go through the game, talk to them a little bit afterwards, that way they're not overwhelmed, get them to come back out a second time. Hopefully that works on retention. So again, as part of this committee thing, the welcoming committee, volunteers, I think, who would be interested in the welcoming committee being, again, kind of going got a bunch, so, I'll put out an email at some point and get that all together, but.
You know those names?
Let's go take the coaching course, then we can pay you $25.
Yeah, we can do that, or.
That was the other quick thought I had on that one as well, because it's kind of the retention piece, is maybe one of the more experienced coaching folks in the room, maybe give like a 20-minute how to use ARs and how to stick around and help people on the elementary things and like their B-side games. I think would probably help a lot, because I know I've been asked to like help somebody before, like stick around and like, other than the things that I'm working on or I worked on previously, I'm not really sure what I'm looking for. And I don't really know how to use people, I mean, I know a little bit, but like how to really maximize the value of ARs to make them feel included. And I feel like there's a lot of people who just get assigned as ARs and then they're like, oh yeah, you talked to me once the whole game and that was my Saturday.
Which is a good segue into,
Can you see those hands again first, though?
Rick,
If you get people that you need, well, want to referee out in Grand Junction, enough people would go out there on a course, or wherever. It doesn't have to be here. If there are, wherever it is.
All the theory, but you know, it's hard to scrape 5 people together.
Well, the other
twice a
thing
year.
is that you could also bring some people in from Utah. Seriously, that would be a good halfway point for them to come in, and we can, you know, an educator can go out there and do a class. And that would help not only the society here, but it also help Utah to hopefully get some better referees.
so before we move on, the 4 volunteers to help with the recruitment were Weaver, Bramley, M. Huff, and Zapp, am I correct?
Yeah.
Please raise your hand again for the welcoming committee group. So, great to meet everybody there.
Activity hands already.
Got everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay, go.
So, Ed Todd is gonna be on CMO course, March 1st. If you have not taken it, or even if you have, as Mike has, and want to take it again, the folks that I currently have who have said they want to take the CMO 1 are Muff, Fellows, Brewer, Paul Pettit, Gore, Mike Boyce, Geiger, Gray, Luscombe, Nelson, or are you not covered because of the one Shahuda out of?
Luscombe doesn't technically need to take it.
So Luscombe and Nelson are now out of the Huda.
Well, I probably shouldn't take it if I'm available, I think about it.
So, is that a yes you want to, or no, we aren't going to?
You?
Yes.
Me, I'm in Norway.
Okay. You.
I am yes for that.
You. Not you.
Summers doesn't need to.
Okay. DK, you're in. So Kamala is in. Is there anyone else who wants to take it? Thank you. So Fawn, Guy, Flat. Anyone else? It is from basically 9 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. Answer that one in a second. There was another question. So, okay, no, so is there a what to who to how? Is it different than what?
The last time they were in it.
Ed Todd says it's different.
If you took it after January 2013, it is the same as since the last time you took it. If you took it prior to January 13, then it is different.
Do you remember, Mark, when we did that?
Yeah.
Like 3 days.
Is this
It was after.
after January 13?
Well, I sat through it Sunday a little bit, and it was the same stuff that, it's still Bell, it's still that game we watched, it's kind of the same, so.
With this.
So the number of us have got it already.
The old CMO 1, the new CMO 1 are primarily different in how you interact with the referees.
Yeah.
The old one was highly prescriptive. If a referee is doing this, you tell them that. If you do this, then you tell them that. The new CMO is more designed about a more modern pedagogical model where you're drawing it out of people instead of telling them what to do.
That's the one I think I taught in the national.
That's Lobo co-taught it.
Right, that was 8 months ago, that was,
Everyone should take it.
August of 13.
Joe, that's
Too
the
many
one
voices.
you drove up to Bowling with.
Yeah, I've got.
Okay. In that case, you're off the list. Anyone else dropping because they've taken the course since January of 2013?
I'll talk to Ed, Gil.
You were never on it.
I'll talk to Ed.
Okay, so we have that. The other thing we need a location for it. One day, 9 AM, 4 PM. Does anyone have a location prior to us?
What do you need at the location?
You can use the office if you need to,
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say,
we're not convenient.
Okay, so we've got Boulder as a fallback.
We just talking about a conference room here?
Conference room, AV facilities, big enough for 15 people?
What day is this, Saturday?
Yes.
Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday's the first.
Sunday?
How about,
I have an office downtown. I'll just reserve a conference room, it's fine.
okay, so we got downtown Denver. Tom, what are you saying?
Office downtown.
So, how about if we do it up there?
Wait.
Scalpel? We learned all kinds of great terminology.
You can use this room for 125.
Yeah, so we can get downtown Denver for free?
Yeah.
Does anyone have any objections out of that list of people I just named
Is there any
to downtown Denver?
parking is free on Sundays?
Free downtown.
There you go.
Yeah, I think so.
Parking's free.
Next up,
Sure, Lodo.
I'm assuming everyone that says that they want to be a coach is willing to coach. Sometimes that's a bold assumption when we take a look at the people who sign up for the referee course. If you are taking the coaching course but do not want to coach, let me know that. If you only want to coach every now and again, some people have reached out to me to talk to me about that. And just let me know whatever proclivity you may have as far as that happens. The current mentors I have are Brewer, Gore, Gray, Nelson, Fong, myself, Coburn, Luscombe, and by dint of being on the national panel, Messrs. Weaver and Summers.
And Zach.
And Zippity. I didn't see it until I was just chatting with it. As far as folks who want mentees, I have fellows Zapp, Burke, Goldammer, Cruyff, Pettit, Gore, Gardner, and Muff. Chuck, your name is on there and you need to learn to answer your emails. You're a young child, you should be able to do that. Who else wants a mentee? Mentor, thank you. I'm all confused in my Latin. Haggerty. You're seriously locked in my sample. So I just took a look at it all.
Jericho, Kamala, Cook,
Brewer, Kamalo,
Guy.
Cook, Hoskin, and us. I named this because he likes to go so much. He's not already easy comment.
That's not even.
I was actually thinking about that because I realized we were about my
You good, Gil?
Anyone else? Thanks, everybody.
Mark, kid announcement.
So the EC got together and to promote us wearing the new kit if we get it off this little boat from China. It is, the Chinese Year is kind of holding up production a little bit. I don't have an exact date.
That's what they
It's
say.
finding out for us. But when it arrives, and it's, when the store is up online, so everyone's stipend, kit stipend from last year, we're just gonna go ahead and say, you could have a jersey or shorts and socks. That's like your allotment for, so we want you to get one and shorts and socks. Now granted, we only ordered 35 of each jersey, so they're gonna go quick. So first come, first serve, and then we'll get another order going again, because we didn't know we were gonna do this. We do have some of the older stuff that has our old brand on it. If you do not have any of our old kit, your priority, Jericho, whoever doesn't have a green, who doesn't have a yellow, who doesn't have the newer polo, or Sharps. So again, when you're doing a recruit match, we'd love you to wear the recruit kit. We kind of made it look like a new national kit, so when Derek shows up to do a PRP, we can kind of somewhat match him. There is one pink. You saw the colors, Tim. Did anyone not see the colors? It's pink and blue.
I thought you were colorblind.
Yeah, it's nice. It's
Yeah, that's why you give reds instead of pink.
whatever. So when that comes out, you'll see an email. Go ahead and order it. We'll have. I think we have a code for you to use. That. That you can just. It'll just get it for free. Maybe it's paper shipping and whatnot. We'll figure all that out. But after this, the less of the stuff that Mark has to take home, the better. And again, like if you're going to, on exchange, 2 of you are going to England still, grab a couple extras to give away. Coins. Yeah, so we'll have a whole new brand of stuff. We have new touch flags after we get through our old ones. Pretty nice. And we still need ideas for Aspen jersey and sponsorships for Aspen. Last year, again, we went to the last minute, and thank you, Mr. Wolf, for kind of getting us, and Mr. Zapp, for getting some sponsors, but it'd be really great to have those going now and get those things completely paid for. They're about $65 a jersey, and then I need ideas for reversible, some fun ones. So send me your ideas.
Clear.
Reversible. That needs to be hairy then for you, right? Just a hairy, like a Wookiee jersey, like a bandolier.
The gorilla.
Yeah, Wookiee Han Solo, that's a good idea.
Something that could have a collar.
This was new. We went for the non-collar with the bow tie, so don't have a bow tie.
Pirate. It is always National Speak Like a Pirate Day.
Mr. Weaver done eating yet?
Hey, Mark, I have a quick question on sponsorship.
What did you need?
Before you go to the next,
So hold on a second, Ryan's got a question.
before you go to the next set of jerseys,
Yeah.
can you get with me on it, because I have a sponsor that wants to sponsor our normal jerseys, not our Aspen jerseys, because they are usable as ones.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we are a non-profit, so this is a tax write-off for anyone who wants to sponsor those. Another stick or carrot for those.
Like cookies.
You know, they can still take it off as a tax deduction, because it's advertising as a business. It can go either way.
Yeah, that's okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Kurt.
I'm Kurt. I'm going to talk to you about the high school game management guidelines now. If you have not yet seen the game management guidelines, I'm not sure what to tell you. The game management guidelines are probably the most important document coming out about the game each year in the U.S. And so if you're not combing through it and asking all the questions you have about it, I would say that's a first step in refereeing for everybody, no matter what level you're hitting. We now have then varied it. The game management guidelines now have a 15s version, a 7s version, and a high school and youth version. Those are 3 different things. Can you hear me?
And a
I'm sorry, we just added a deaf version, so we have a deaf-friendly version as well.
That's awesome.
He was trying to sign to me and I did not get it. So, the 4 game management guidelines, I would familiarize yourself with all of them. You may not think that you're going to do a high school game this year, but then when you're on your way to the game and you did not read it, I'd rather you understand it and know it. As well, the deaf guidelines. In case you have a deaf player, it's about an individual deaf player. It's also about a team of deaf players. And so it's just how to manage those players in the field. There's different things that we now do with that. Most of you will not ever referee a full deaf team, but many of you will referee a deaf player. We have had them in Colorado before, I know that there's been in several states, there's been just one deaf player on a team. So it's good to know how to manage those players.
Like you're from Park City.
There we go. This is Mark when he was a young man. So we're gonna go through high school game management guidelines right now. There's a couple key differences that we need to point out about the high school game management guidelines and the high school game itself. This has now been passed out to all the states and all the teams and all the leagues and everything else, so they have it and they've been clarified on it. We then had a call with all the LROs the other night to try to clarify it, and we're going to continue to try to clarify it as we go forward. 2 big key items: the tackle, and then of course the breakdown, and the player who's setting the ball carrier, has some obligations now. We no longer allow squeeze ball at the high school or youth level. And so this is something that has been banned in every rugby playing country except us. We tried to soft shoe it in last year, now it is hard and fast policy this year. Squeeze ball is defined as head forward in the set, is really what we're looking for. So if head and neck are forward in the set, we We want to get that out of the game. What is specifically illegal now is I'm going to apologize here, but I'm going to show you right here. So you go to ground, the ball carrier then puts the ball back between his legs and his head and neck. Or on the ground, exactly. So, knees are up,
Why don't you
hips are
hop on
up,
the table?
head and neck are on the ground, and they're sending the ball back.
I never realized how ugly this looks.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
You always want to take something from that.
That is specifically what is banned. That is the most important thing to immediately stop the game if you see it. It's a safety item now. Because the head and neck are in a prone position. It's also bad if they're laying flatter on the ground with one leg up and one knee up. We're also kind of teaching that some coaches, which is down, the knee goes up, and you still hatch the egg. Pretty much any hatching of the egg gets the hips to rise and gets the neck in a prone position. So if the head and neck are forward and they're hatching the egg between the legs, that means the hips are up. That's what we're trying to get rid of. So if you're down on the ground and the ball slides down next to them, and they can somehow do that, not necessarily legal. We just want to make sure that safety is paramount first.
Clarification, this is U19s.
High school and youth, yes.
Yeah. And what's the sanction?
So technically it's penalty kick.
Against?
Against, yes. What I would ask you to do is that we have done a lot of education with this. A lot of you are associated high school programs or will be out of practices. Please make a reminder of this, whether they ask about it or not. Make a reminder of this, the tackle we're going to talk about. To say, hey, remember, this is coming. Please don't teach kids this, and if you are seeing it, immediately tell them to stop. What I would say is in your first couple games this season, if you see it, I go immediate whistle, I'd bring it up and I'd say, remember, absolutely none of this, we're going to go ahead and give retention ball scrum. It's going to go back to the ball carrying team. That's the first time it happens. Announce to both packs and everyone else who's around, remember, absolutely none of this in the game. We are not allowed to do this. Happens again, I go whistle turnover ball, and I'd say, all right, from here on out it has to be penalties. And so I would give them the 2 bites of the apple because we're just getting in there. But again, if you've clearly explained it before the game and want to give them penalties, I have no problem at all with that.
First instance scrum your way, second instance scrum their way, third instance
Penalty. Yep. And for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
You're going to get into a situation to where a team has not heard about this, and it's going to be 8 penalties around it. That's the inevitability, right? Some of us, or one of us, will have that game this year. It's too important, though, in a safety aspect for that issue. So this was actually came from World Rugby and NACRO requesting us to put this policy in place in addition to us needing to do it. So questions on squeeze ball and barring it?
Are you addressing it pregame with captains and coaches?
I would,
or just
yeah.
captains? Or?
Yeah, so this is a tackle line, which we'll talk about next. I'd address both items. I don't know what your pre-games are like right now, but I think many of us might go on long, and so I wouldn't necessarily add much more to what you're saying. I would just say, Coach, did you make sure that everybody's clear on this before you even get into the team talk? This may not be something you have to say to the team.
Yeah.
So why is that any safer in adult rugby?
That I am not responsible for and don't have to answer that question, so no. I'm not saying it's any safer in the adult portion of the game, but they can sign their own waivers at that point and can enter into their own risk.
What do you recommend for a secondary signal for this? With the coaches on the sideline.
It's holding on.
Just like you showed just now, get down on the floor, your head on the ground.
You're off your feet. Head down, that's off your feet or release the ball.
First one's unplayable.
Do that, yeah.
Literally, it's off feet.
Whoa. We just had 4 different people say 4 different things. This is Kurt's game, so let's let Kurt come up with something.
I would go whistle, immediate time off, and I would immediately address the situation, because this is a big safety item, and I would address it. I wouldn't worry about your secondary signal. I would go time off to make sure that you properly address it, not just penalty squeeze ball, and then they go quick tap and go. I would not allow a quick tap off of the situation. It's too important to make sure it doesn't keep happening throughout that game. And this is not something you want to see how it plays out, like see if they get themselves flattened on the ground. If they're head forward and they're not making an effort to then staple or to get the ball back around, immediate whistle. Don't let it form over. Greg?
Head forward, now technically they can place the ball in any direction, so if they're on the goal line and
They're gonna squeeze ball?
well, they're not gonna
to
squeeze
score a
ball,
try?
no, but
Yeah, so the hip, really the issue is hips up when neck is forward. That's the real issue. And so in a try situation, you're likely not gonna have hips up, just gonna be extending out. And again, you don't want to penalize somebody going for a try because their head was forward. So we're clear on the difference there, right?
What if your head's back?
Okay.
Also, if they land head forward and they make any attempt to spin, not hatch, they're doing the right thing.
Yeah. We really want the staple back in the game, like what you probably all learned your first day was just the staple back. That's really what they're trying to get back in, or what they're calling the Superman, which is you actually extend forward and then you spin your whole body back around instead of way back. That's really what they're trying to get in, is those two sets, but that's up to coaches, not up to us.
Coaches call them
Yeah.
long place and jackknife.
Yep, there we go.
Nice.
So, questions on that? I would encourage you to, if you get good video of a game where there's situations like this, please submit it in, because we want to build film of this to show what's right and wrong.
I think for a technical aspect on the call, I think the technical call would be not playing the ball. Ball needs to be played immediately. You're laying over the ball and slowly playing it underneath you. Besides being the safety aspect, if you needed that secondary signal somewhere along the line.
Well, in the guidelines, does it say it's going to grow? That's the.
You're already on the ground, so.
Yeah, no, I truly wouldn't worry about secondary signals at this point, because you're gonna go time off, and you're gonna discuss it openly and with an increasing amount of anger in your voice as the game goes on, right? And so it's going to be penalty, time off. Guys, we talked about squeeze ball, we cannot have this anymore, whatever it might be going on. It doesn't have to be a whole secondary signal. If coach has any question, coach, squeeze ball, thanks, and then just kind of move on. So I don't think you have to worry so much about secondary. More so, make sure that you're an increasing amount of fervor in your voice when you do it. Which then transitions us into the next part, which is the tackle part. In the tackle guidelines, in the high school guidelines, it is now armpits and or nipples, and below is the tackle line. Anything above armpits is now illegal. So Mark, if you'd step up for me. All right, I've never touched my life.
Feeling the video.
So, the issue we had before was that the question was, is this illegal? So if sorry, just stand up. So if I tackle Mark like this, was that a dangerous tackle? Right. Most of us would not penalize that because it wasn't neck or head. Anything on the top of the shoulder, neck or head is now basically illegal. And that's how to look at it. There's no way to grasp right here. Right, so it's when you get on top of the shoulder is what we're looking at. So that way, anything here and above, there shouldn't be any contact with that. This is more about open field tackles and chasing tackles, that's where this is predominant. But you're going to have it happen to where somebody comes off the side of a ruck and the reset, they're nice and low. We still want no contact with the head, neck, and shoulders.
On situations where it's like a push and coach, where it's like a 5'4" kid running at a 6'2" kid, and he just kind of pushes the coach, but if he pushes him to the top of the shoulders, how are you considering that?
I would say any contact with the head, neck, or shoulders is to be adjudicated as a penalty.
Again, this is
This is high school and youth. And here's the difference. If I come off the side of a ruck and I'm low and I just run myself into your body, that's inadvertent contact, and I'm not going to necessarily penalize that defender. What I am going to penalize is when the defender comes under on the head, neck, or shoulders to make that tackle.
Okay.
The defender has an obligation to go lower or to let the player go past and tackle him as they go around.
Okay. Yeah,
So it's just
kind of that 6'6" versus the 5'2".
Yeah.
6'6" isn't getting below him.
Right. So you got to go to the side, get around, get on the torso. Any head, neck, or shoulder contact as you go into it. Like I said, inadvertent contact. If they come off the side and they just ran into me, I'm not going to penalize for that. That's the ball carrier's bad form. What I want to penalize and what I want to look for is contact with the head, neck, and shoulders by the tackler in an active move.
I think, I get what you're saying, and I get the safety aspects, but I think we need to be careful of players seeking out a penalty just by doing that, just by running low.
Definitely. And that's why I'm saying, the obligation of the tackler, they need to be lower, and they need to go for the torso or the hips, and that's where they need to tackle. And that's the way that we can look at it. What I would say, though, is you're all going to be able to see the difference between somebody trying to just dive at somebody's shins and trying to get some sort of penalty out of it, as opposed to then a tackler going for that area. And I think we've also gotten rid of the head and neck alligator roll. That's, of course, illegal. So this should be about the same thing. Any kind of contact, it should be armpits and below. If they're down low, it's armpits to butt is where they're going after, and that's fine. But what we don't want to see is the underneath or in the head and neck. Yeah, we're 1-1.
Wait, so clarifying about 1-1, are they saying for bottom body roll for a barrel roll out?
That's for all of us.
Okay, because I know that the ruling came down about the head roll as being an issue. Have they officially laid that out to under the armpit and the head?
Yes, so one arm or two arms on the head or neck is still legal for the roll for all levels. It has to be armpits and below for the roll. Yeah.
Can I bring up a point about that, is a lot of the times, it's very difficult for the referee to see that. So as being an active part of national rugby and above, a lot of us are on the sidelines. From a lot of the film they showed on this, the referees kind of coming at an angle with the players who are doing the rolling. And therefore, it's really difficult for the referee to be in a good position to see this. However, if you're an active AR, you're aware of this ruling, then you can certainly flag foul play for that. So just pay attention to it. It's something that's new for everybody. It's something that's really difficult to catch, that gator roll around the head. So it's something we want out of the game, so therefore be aware of that. Put that in your mental cue next time you're on the line. Have a look for it.
And again, that's not that's an immediate whistle.
Yeah. No, I think anything that you're dealing with this, so the two things we've talked about, or the gator roll, even at the collegiate adult level, that's illegal. I would go immediate whistle on that kind of stuff, because you're not gonna, you're trying to prevent an outcome that's worse.
In general, foul play, most of the time you should think whistle rather than advantage.
And I encourage you to go whistle and time off and sort of stop things and use your teacher voice to then amplify the issue on both of these. So both the items we talked about here, and I think I include the gator roll in that, is please make it an important thing in their minds, because I think it will help get rid of it earlier. And then as well, if you're seeing a team do it again and again, either the tackling or the squeeze ball, please let us know so we can go to that team and maybe talk to the coaches just about how to adjust practice and how to fix things.
So, I mean, that's been something that coaches have used for a while on the, off a ruck, a pick and go, or I think some call it rhino or what have you. And their intent is to go so low they can't get under you with the ball. And you have support behind you to clear him off. If that happens at the goal line again, defender's only choice is to meet him head on, that's penalty, you're saying?
If it's contact with the head, neck, or shoulders, yes. So there are two options. They're either going to go forward and they want to keep their feet and keep driving, and at that point you can get under them. Or they're just trying to dive at the ground and gain 1 meter each time.
Yeah.
And at that point you can then go around the body. And so it's the same defensive idea
Now,
around
the
it.
only, and you usually give them that meter every time until you're at the goal line.
Yeah.
And then it's.
You gotta start hitting.
Yep.
Kurt, you can still grab hold of his body if he's lower than you, you're above. You can grab hold of his
Yeah.
torso and just pancake him.
Yeah.
There's nothing illegal with that.
No, but it's not smart because the other two guys behind him are gonna clear you off.
So I think you're going to see nuances, and we want to hear about this stuff. But certainly we've sort of game played all these things, and if they're going to stay up on their feet, they're going to go low but stay up. You can always get under them. If they just want to go to ground and just gain that extra half meter, you can go around the body all you want. And likely you're just going to either help them to ground and go after the ball, or you're going to go ahead and make that tackle to ground and pancake.
But
So
my question though really was, until you're at the goal line, and that meter is gonna score a try, the defender,
go low.
well,
Then
the
you're
guy's
getting
diving at
head.
the goal line, you're not gonna get under
Is
him.
that a penalty then?
You got to adjudicate as you see it. If that defender put his head on the other guy's head, yes, I would say that's illegal, just like we would call that now.
Oh, that's gonna be tough, because human nature's gonna tell that kid to be a wall.
I think the difference though, and to Kurt's original point, and the purpose of it is like, somebody's going down, you're not gonna headlock them and bring them down. You know, contact is if you were in a ruck where you're binding onto the person and going to ground at equal level, equal volition against each other. Obviously,
Yeah, shoulder,
just like a
fine.
ruck, there's nothing that's foul
Shoulder to
play
shoulders.
about that. However, tackling somebody from the side, from behind, anything like that, or just open field around above the upper torso.
Okay.
Obviously, there's two different scenarios, so it's a good clarifying question, but, maybe that can be
Yeah,
considered
it's
more
hand,
of like
hand
a
and
rock.
arm on head, neck, or shoulders, that's what you're looking at.
Okay.
I mean, how are you gonna stop that right now anyway?
Have you tried to get them to,
You have to throw an arm or shoulder or something into their head, and it's gonna be illegal anyway.
Right.
I mean, right now, it's still gonna be illegal any other way to stop them.
Yeah.
I mean,
They got down to the one they should score, right?
so.
Rugby Colorado has
Anyone
seen
from
this.
Seattle?
only
That's
for
where the
Seattle.
goal line is.
Yeah. Rugby Colorado has seen this and has been clarified on it. All the high school leagues across the country have seen it and been clarified on it. But again, I think we understand that does not necessarily mean everybody gets it and is actively coaching it out of their teams. So I think it's up to us to then help them along as much as possible. I would encourage you to contact your local high school team, pop out to a practice and just chat quietly with coach, teach a session, whatever it might be. But it's gonna help us all if it's out of the game before the season, so we don't have to just keep calling these penalties.
I think Kurt's point is really important too. Early on, just calling attention to it without upping the sanction right away. Because being newer, some teams, it might be longer for them to get this through their teammates' heads. If you start with penalties and all of a sudden you got yellow cards, you could have a really busy, long Saturday afternoon. And a lot of work to uncover between the relationship between the referees and that club to learn and get this message. However, maybe even early as the email to confirm the match, saying, hey, just a reminder, talk to the
That's a
coach
great
right
idea. When
away.
you confirm the match, just, hey, and reminder about these two items. Any questions, let me know.
If we want, I mean, we could just have an automatic kind of template sent out like we've done in the past. Hey, reminder, make sure you got, rosters. Here's the latest, law updates.
It
Please
should
make
just
sure
be
you're paying
like
attention.
attached to the game management guidelines.
Exactly. Yeah, you might as well just attach it.
It's all in there, and don't reinvent the wheel.
So, just out of curiosity, everybody here has seen the game management guidelines, right?
Should have all been sent to you.
So everybody's got it. Terry, let's work with this for a month. We have a meeting a month from now. Was there any way to get some clips of this for the next meeting? Mr. Clip guy.
Do the AV again, just like in high school. Do the AV again.
Well, do we have any high school matches on the schedule this month?
That's not a positive.
It is on YouTube, I'll find it. Yeah.
I'm sure you'll find some. Oh, Christopher Huff, up next. Kick off tournament. Oh, you actually wore the jersey.
I wore it on purpose, making fun of my paint. This last weekend, myself and Autumn, and unfortunately they sent this guy with us as well. Went out to Sacramento and did the kickoff tournament out there. It was high school, JV boys, as well as 8th grade, even all the way down through U10s, which is hurting kittens more so than anything else. I was older than almost all the players, yes. Every single player was high school. I got the beat that time, right? We went out Thursday night. Friday they did, it wasn't necessarily a level 1 class, but it was more like a practical level 1, and so it was kind of relearning the same stuff that you learned in level 1, but it's not all sitting in a classroom. It was about 90% outside on the field, doing active stuff, more hands-on. So it was a great experience to learn and be able with other people. They had people there from Oregon, from Idaho, from Canada. One guy was there from Germany. So all over the place, it was just a great all-around experience to learn. Saturday and Sunday were games almost all day. Saturday it was warmer in Colorado than it was in Sacramento. It was not too wonderful, but Sunday cleared up. It was a wonderful day. Had a wonderful weekend. Gilligan drove us around in his Camaro. Wonderful bright neon pink jerseys.
What'd you learn in your games?
Absolutely nothing.
Because I'm being coach here.
Yeah.
So what'd you learn in your games?
There's a lot of valuable stuff. I got the opportunity to be coached by all 3 of the that came from Canada. And so it was a great opportunity to learn different things from them that I don't hear here, and different coaches from NorCal giving me the opportunity. Like, I tend to overrun my rucks, and I'll get in too close because of it. So I guess I gotta stop a step and a half, 2 steps earlier, and more anticipate which way the ball's gonna come out. Don't listen to Gilligan when he calls foul play.
Oh, please.
Won that one. Made it about 70 yards down the field before he yelled my name, and then I kept going. Came back a minute and a half later. Got my ear chewed off. It was a lot of fun. It was a great opportunity.
Was it going, or was setting other people too?
Most definitely.
You're not done yet. Reports back from the weekend suggest that you're refereeing at above a C3 level, so we're going to take the opportunity tonight to pick your pocket. And
Mark runs.
C2.
Go Mark!
It's gonna hurt Mark's walk a lot more than yours.
Nice job.
Thanks, Dad.
Derek.
We had 75 submissions of the quiz.
75.
No one got 100.
Boo.
Pretty proud of that, actually. We had the percentages. The 2 hardest questions were number 7, which was about ball in the ruck and a referee allowing a reasonable time to recycle, and then the last question, which was about you can have a tackle without a tackler. So those
Not
are the
according to
2
Facebook.
questions that those are the 2 questions that got the least amount of correct answers. So just a reminder, keep up with things that you don't necessarily think about, like definitions. Those are important things. So you can identify, like Triterico can probably define a tackler for us, Nick.
Define tackling.
Define a tackler.
An opponent who holds and brings down a ball carrier.
And
Goes
goes to ground himself.
Yes.
Okay. So again, keep with your definitions. Some stuff like that will be in the quizzes. Trying to maybe get a little creative and do something different as the quiz is evolving. So we'll see what we can do. It'll be out probably within a week.
Oops. 75 responses. How many were on our local roster?
Probably not everyone here. I don't know. I'm not even sure if everyone here. Yeah, maybe.
Now we get to.
So what I'm saying is this.
Not everybody's taking the quiz.
It's out of the country, though.
This quiz has gone, I mean. that's
Was the
really-
internet out of the country?
It's gone at
Then you
least
get that.
national and perhaps even international, this
Well,
quiz.
I was on my-
Which is
my closest.
bullshit.
Well, we've been posting it on
So I
the
couldn't
referee page
get onto
on the
the
USA
starting net.
Facebook group, and so yeah, it's been getting hits.
Other societies are copying us.
Yeah, and then other societies are putting out worse, like
Flattery is the sincerest form.
Way worse stuff.
Again, if you guys have any clarifications on questions, you guys email me. This month, I'm sure that was cut down because a lot of it gave you the law to look up yourself. If you want to like make it a little more challenging, either don't pay attention to that and go look for it yourself or whatever. But yeah, let's cut down on people asking where the answer was. Yes.
Just to clarify, in case it might be intimidating for some, obviously it's a big test. What's the internal side of this? How much does it value as far as your contribution to the society? How much is this being graded and looked and judged versus how much of it is a tool to just simply keep sharp on the law, continue to expand our
I'd
knowledge?
say for
and
the most
stuff?
part it's to keep sharp on the law, but when it comes down to like making hard decisions between referees or whatever, that could be a factor, but I don't think anyone's gonna like lose assignments because of their law quizzes or anything like that.
The RDO doesn't see the results.
To my knowledge, Stu and I are the only people that have even access to the results, and this last month we're all, for the most part, anonymously submitted, that we can't look up individuals, so don't be paranoid or anything like that.
So in other words, I think it's better to take the test based on the knowledge you have rather than stop, look up answers,
Yeah,
and just get a genuine result on.
yeah, I mean, cheating, if you're gonna cheat on a law exam that's supposed to benefit your own knowledge, you know, good on you, I guess. If people are cheating, they're not doing, if people are cheating, they're not doing a very good job at it. But it's not the point to have the law book next year. Yeah, but, yeah, fair dues.
And then for those of you who haven't taken it because of intimidation, just do it. Challenge yourself. I mean, look at it like it's your own self-progress, and every month you'll get another caliper to see how you can improve, albeit different questions. You know, it's a way that after a year, you know, granted you'll probably have, you know, access to a majority of the most common law scenarios, and so hopefully everybody in Eastern Rockies, by doing the test, will be pretty sharp. Oh, Rumor, Rocky Mountain Rugby.
Where should a water break be taken, Zach?
Oh, yeah, that one. At a stoppage somewhere around midfield. I know that now.
Concerning some of the sevens questions that we've had through the 3 months, people are getting them wrong. Just to clarify, and this is for when we get to Denver sevens, because I remember seeing this. You cannot charge a conversion kick in sevens. That was the third, that was like a 48% correct rate on that question. You cannot charge a conversion kick in sevens. The players are near their own 10-meter line. Just to clarify that as a general statement.
Mark, who was the, at the national conference, who was the number one law exam?
So you guys get off easy with a 15 question thing every month. We had a 93 question law exam at our high performance meeting. And one, don't worry, you'll never need to. I'll make sure of that. And out of 125 possible points, one of our national referees scored 111, which is the highest score, more so than what's his title? Laws.
Chairman.
Head of the rugby, whatever the Rules and Laws Committee, Peter Watson, he outscored Peter. It was Derek Summers got 111 points on it. So if you do see him getting lawyers in games, let's make sure we get that camera out there. Bring it up to Aspen. I'm sure Tim will make use of that.
Good job, Derek.
The last thing on the agenda tonight is Stu is up to talk about the ocean.
It is beautiful.
Can you have a rock and roll pitch?
Yeah, trees. That's
Rugby's my rock. In this short, in this short break of play, we can document that Weaver did eat that cookie. That was under. Hey Kurt, how was the cookie? Did you heat it up adequately?
It was warm. My loins are good at that.
Yeah. That's what I do with my kid's bottle. You know, just tuck it under a crevice and nice and warm. Tricarico, what'd you run on the beep today?
13.9.
What's the altitude you ran it at?
This one.
This one? What?
This altitude.
Almost 6,000 feet?
Yeah.
Well done, sir. Except for that old man Luscombe in the front ran what, 14.7?
Not tonight.
No, what'd he do tonight?
All right.
right, guys.
that we talked about, as we've gone through the off-season was some things related to how does the RDO and how do match secretaries work on prioritizing assignments, getting people seen who need to be seen, getting them the right types of matches for what they are trying to accomplish in their refereeing. And so I recently sat down and done a self-development plan for myself, which I worked through with Mark, who was my mentor, and got me thinking, well, we might as well go ahead and put together a little brief presentation for all you guys. So while Tim's trying to figure this thing out, which doesn't really seem to be working right now, we're just going to shift to Mark's computer.
This is slide one.
Yeah. The world first move himself.
Let him who would move the world first move himself.
Right, so if you're not going to do this, nobody else is going to do it for you. So one of the things I really wanted to talk to you today is the need to set your own course in your refereeing. Who's ever made a New Year's resolution?
Who's kept them?
Who's kept them? Very few.
Don't make them.
Why'd you fail? Did you make it for some shitty reason? Were you accountable to anybody? You know, beer tastes good, Twinkies taste good. Did you bite off more than you can chew, literally, Gilligan?
Too soon?
I still approve your appointments.
Dan Howard did a better job than I did. But anyway, when did the training of the track?
Dan Power's funny.
I know. So, anyway, the questions I really had to ask, you know, next slide, please. Yeah, we know. You need to set your course moving forward. You ultimately are the referee in the field. You are the only one, well, you are the one making the greatest investment in your refereeing career. And ultimately, you are the one who needs to take responsibility for improving your standard of refereeing by soliciting the input of your mentors, coaches, other referees, and any performance reviews that you end up having. So, the self-development plan, what is it? It's always been, to my knowledge at the time I've been in the society, the job of the referee to set their development. So it's not something that's handed to you by a mentor or a coach. Rather, it's something that you conceive and develop through your own self-reflection. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's one size fits all. It's something that's collaborative. You need to think about what you want to improve about your refereeing. But to say that you're the only one who has to have a say in it is also false. I needed to ask Mark a little bit about what I was doing wrong and how to fix it. So that when I set some goals for myself this spring, I had something that was based a little bit more in Mark's mindset, being on the panel, been refereeing for 10 years, something that would actually be achievable. It's also not a guarantee. Just because you put together this plan doesn't mean you're actually going to achieve X, Y, and Z goals and aspirations you might have, but rather it might serve as a roadmap where you want to go. So, elements of a plan. When I sat down and did this, I said, what happened last season? I started off by saying, okay, what did I referee? What did I do well? Management wasn't too bad. Scrums, lineouts, structure was good. What I didn't do so well, positioning, tackle, everybody's got a problem with tackle. Had a few intangibles. I got to do the AR at the Rugby. That was great. I was really happy to do it. But again, thinking back to what you did last year is helpful to start your thinking process. Review your coaching reports. We're hopefully going to make that easier very shortly. There's a new form which Gilligan, Joe, myself have been working on over the winter, which is going to come out, which is going to store everybody's coaching report. Should make it easier for you to hang on to it. But go back over your old coaching reports. What did you do well? What didn't work so well? What did you do after those games to make some changes to your refereeing. Jot down those thoughts from your discussions. Maybe I had a discussion with Goldhammer about something, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember when I had that discussion with him up at Aspen. Write that down, and then call your mentor. If you got one, great. If not, work with Gilligan to get one assigned. Maybe you just like talking to Zach. Call Brian up. Talk to him a little bit about what your issues were. Get some thoughts put together. Next step was I thought about priorities. Okay, I looked through what I did well, what I didn't do so well. These are just a couple examples. Fitness, law knowledge, positioning, tackle again, continuity. Think about those things that you've got some problems with or things you want to work on. One of my priorities this year, this spring, really is positioning, tackle, and anticipation, much like Chuff noted as well. Also, consider where you are and where you want to be. Are you a C3 trying to get to a C2? Maybe you've made the jump to C2 and now you want to go to C1. Perhaps you're an experienced referee who maybe just neglected their self-development for a while and they want to get back on the pony, so to speak, and get some better matches. Check out the USA Rugby grading manual. What do we look for in certain grades of referee? They're very subtle, I've come to note. There's very subtle changes in the language and how you move from one aspect or move from one grade to another, but always good things to recommend or to reconsider as you go. Next one work. There it goes. But I'll just keep going here off the notes. But next thing I did was aspirations. Notice that it's not a goal. What's different between aspiration and goal?
The aspiration's not written down, the goal is. Aspiration's a stretch.
Measurable.
Not necessarily measurable.
Exactly. And one of the things I said here is, when you're talking about aspirations and goals, recognize the difference between things that you can and cannot control. An aspiration, I want to be a C1. I want to run a 12 on the beep test. Which of those can I control? I can control the beep test. Can I control going to the gym twice a week? Maybe when I was only going once every 2 weeks?
Yes.
I can control that. Can I control keeping my penalty count under 20?
Yes.
You can influence it, but you can't control it. So aspirations. So ask yourself, what are your aspirations? Do you want to become C1? Do you want to make the beat panel? You know? Do you want to do Rugby Colorado's state championships? Okay? These are aspirations because you can't control them. And in the C1, you need to achieve and show why you deserve to be a C1. To get the Rugby Colorado Championship, you need to do a great job doing Rugby Colorado matches throughout the years. Now, those are your aspirations. What are the guts of your plan, your goals? Mark has said this 1,000 times. Make SMART goals. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Okay? When I was putting this together, I said, what were my aspirations? What is this goal going to speak to? List your goal and then how you're going to do it. So aspiration, goal, method. Here's an example. From the USA Grading Manual, fitness is a requirement for the C1 referee. Okay? This is my goal, one of my goals. Goal, achieve an 11 on the beep test. Can I control that? Yes. Is it specific? Yes. It is get an 11 on the beep test. It's measurable, again, 11, attainable. I attained it last Wednesday. Realistic, time-bound, I wanted to do it in the spring 2015 season. All right? How was I going to do it? This was assuming it was going to take me all season, but I was going to work on running at the gym 3 miles at an average pace at 8 minutes a mile. That was my goal, one of my methods. I was also going to work on stretching my anaerobic capacity by doing spraying drills. And ultimately, you need to establish some accountability with yourself. My goal here was to talk to Mark on a weekly basis and just say, Mark, I ran 8:56, 3 miles, 8:56 per mile for 3 miles this past week, and you've been great, okay? Just that much. He didn't have to answer me back, but he just knew that I was doing, and I knew that I needed to say something to Mark, and that's something that we agreed upon. Some other things here, seasonal goals. We're all gonna have different near-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. Near-term, those are generally the easiest. They're also the easiest to get down in the weeds about. We can talk about how many penalties we're gonna have, how many, who cares what it is, how many, whatever else you wanna have, scrums, rucks, whatever. If you're counting rucks, you're probably doing this wrong. But what can you work on immediately using that feedback from last season? You're going to gain some coaching reports as you go, but nonetheless, you want to set some goals early on. You guys can't really read this up here. I just talked about the fitness goal, but one that I talked with Mark was also the need, for me personally, to start figuring out what I'm calling and why. So, in addition to doing a pre-match plan and talking with Mark about it beforehand, I wanted to have at least 2 of my matches this spring videotaped and or voice recorded, and then sit down by myself some afternoon and chart all the penalties I had, chart the decisions I made. If it's video, it's great, I can see, but if it's also just a video, I can say penalty, offsides, penalty, offsides, penalty, offsides. Stu, why do you have 3 penalty offsides in a row and you didn't do anything about it? That should be a trigger for me moving forward in my goals. Again, it's a very simple goal. 2 matches, videotape, sit down and do a post-analysis. Come up with the trends, talk to mentor. It's time bound, it's in the season, it's very attainable, it's realistic, and very specific. Again, it's a smart goal. Over the longer term, take those results, carry them forward. My spring, my summer fitness goal, increase that beat test a little bit. Long term, not quite sure yet. I've got a few things jotted down, but nothing that, is really ground earth shattering. Let's finish this thing up. Recap. If you're going to do this, take an hour to do it. It really doesn't take a whole lot of time. Talk to a mentor or a friend. Again, most of you have mentors from last season. Don't come empty-handed. Like we said, this isn't something where the society feeds you information. This is something that you're expected to at least come to the table with a little bit of information to work with a mentor or coach. Again, ask yourself what went well, what needs work, and based on that, what should you be doing this season to improve that? Ask yourself those aspirations. Chuff, you've just made C2. You want to make C1? Do you know what to do to make C1? So, now's the time to start understanding what it takes to get to that next level. Draft some goals. They'll help you meet those aspirations. Share your plan with your mentor. Revise it a little bit. Get it to Gilligan, and then track your progress. And after that, let your referee take you where you're going to go. So, again, self-development plan, for those of you who, again, are looking to advance, looking to get more matches, talk to Gilligan and make sure that you're getting yourself an idea of what you're after, what you want to be doing, so that we can make the appropriate assignments as we go throughout the season, which is not a guarantee, of course, all subject to Gilligan and Tom, but we'll do our best to help you achieve your goals. So, self-development plan, anybody, questions, thoughts, comments? Mr. Jeff?
Can we post the requirements between different grades from C3 to C1 and even B panel. Tom, do you have access to those?
On USA Rugby referee resources.
Can you put a link out to, and follow up to the meeting so it's easily accessible to everybody?
Sure, and we also have it.
Looking to make C1 for that?
Part 2 of that is,
A long way to go.
is looking at, I mean, we've all been, a lot of us have been at it for a while. It's sometimes daunting to look at refereeing as a whole and come out with some measurable goals out of it. I even just went through this process. Gilligan and I met just before this meeting, as he's my coach this season. And I'm like, wow, you know, where do I begin? You know, where do I start from last season? Last season was kind of weird because I had a kid. I had like an off season, a weird spring before that. So in a ways, I was kind of starting from scratch. And to look at everything is overwhelming. So to instead start with, how do I make C1 for Chris Huff, for instance? You know, you can find some specific measurable things that are guidelines then for you to start setting your goals. And then you can start to measure those reports based on your games. So come in with the starting point like a you know, specific set of guidelines that you're supposed to hit, and try to simplify it. Otherwise you're looking at, well, tackle, ruck, maul, foul play, communication, control. You know, it's really too much to do yourself. So try to find some way to simplify it. And I think two of the things you said are most important, talk with somebody else who's done it before. And like Gilligan for me, super easy to simplify. What are the priorities here? Yeah, there's a million things I could talk about, but let's just break it on down into what are you most likely going to face. Start making goals out of that. And really try to simplify it from there. Success.
So who hasn't been, honestly, to this page? USARugby.org, click on referee, up at the top, or come down on resources. There is a, geez. I know you have it because you fill in the match report forms with disciplinary.
We blame the national office for not publicizing the availability and the resources.
This is very publicized.
If it doesn't have a picture of me on it, I need it.
There's a wealth of knowledge on this page. We have a video director who's also the Eastern Zone manager who does a video about every other month, different stuff. That's not, no, we're all the same thing together. There are tons of videos from him to watch. Here is your referee grading manual. This is what Stu was talking about. There's stuff on touch judging, assistant refereeing.
Didn't you send that out about a month ago or something?
Yeah, I send this out all the time.
This is hit the list.
There's
several
podcasts. How to handle the kickoff restart. There's just so much information out there that you're not using it.
Do you need subcards for your match? Do you need the player movement
subcards?
Score reporting, it's all up here.
Yeah, there's a ton of information. And then you can look at then you can see Tim's shiny face.
Where's the updated photos?
Ooh, that's a
How much did you guys pay to get on that site?
teeth whitening.
Never that cliche.
You should have seen my alternate photos.
All right, so anybody, any questions? Anything further on self-development?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, guys.
If anybody wants to see my copy, I'm more than happy to share. Here it is, so come see me.
Thanks, Stu.
Thanks, Stu.
Okay, we missed our mark by 2 minutes.
Damn it, Coburn.
That was really well done tonight, guys. Thanks for the attention. Thanks for keeping the comments and conversation to a minimum. And movement to a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Go say or watch the Caribou games.
Mr. Carrico.